advantage of you in the long run. He may be able to cheat one person or two people, but in one way or another, the market has its negative feedback. You know, I was in downtown Nassau Saturday night with some friends of mine. Went to a nice restaurant. And, you know, we're driving down, you know, to find our parking space. And I'm looking and I see a bunch of all these chain famous stores that you have in the United States and Europe. Well, why are there these chain stores? Right? Franchises. Why? Because that gives the seller confidence. He knows that whether he's buying this product or using this service in New York or in Nassau or in Naples, Italy, it doesn't matter. That's brand name reputation. That's a surety of a certain type of quality and feature to the product or the service. All of these are the positive feedbacks and negative feedbacks of the market so that consumers cannot be taken advantage of by sellers. So I understand Chomsky's view. I just think that he's, again, looking at the telescope through the wrong end. Where do you see the ability of governments to manipulate and control people? In unfree societies. What were these people in Egypt recently complaining about with the Mubarak government? That they would turn on and off the internet, that they would try to manipulate information. Right? That's the government trying to create like a sieve through which certain information gets to the people, other information does not. And while all of these events have been going on in the Middle East, do you know who's heard the least about it? The people in China. Because the Chinese government controls the internet there. There's no Twitter. Are you a tweeter? Are you a tweeter? I'm not a tweeter. I can't stand this. I'm a professor. I have to say things more than in just 144 characters. I couldn't handle only saying 144 characters of words. Anyway, but in that type of a system, the government can manipulate what you see, what you hear, what you read, because they can turn on, off, and what they allow to be on is what they want you to know. It's in the unfree society, the non-capitalist society, that the types of manipulations and control mechanisms that Chomsky is talking about is most likely to occur and historically always had occurred. In the open and free market economy, it's either extremely difficult or can't occur at all. So I understand where he's coming from, but he's looking at the world upside down. Yes?
A lot of the examples you gave are like the extremes of government intervention. So what about when we consider the negative characteristics of capitalism where the labor of the working class is exploited? Isn't the capitalist also manipulating people in the market and exploiting them? And in this instance, what about the, you said in one of your articles, entitlement spendings by the government? Like people because they're not paid, or their wages, they're paid so low, then how can they afford healthcare and education? So what about government spending?
Well, let me ask you, how do you define the word exploitation? I mean, what does exploitation mean?
Well, when you paying someone for less than what their input is valued.
How do you know what their input is worth? I don't mean to be tricky about this. We use terms all the time. I use terms, you use terms, we all use terms. And on the surface there seem to be meanings, connotations of them. But it just helps if we just sort of stop a second and like go to the dictionary. What the hell does this word mean? What's the definition? Oh yeah, $5 a box of Cheerios or Wheaties or something. And the other one is selling it for $3.50. Would you go to the $5 store when you could buy the same box of breakfast cereal for $3.50?
For the most part, those people that would be considered to be exploited would be those that would have been in there for a certain length of time and would have been entitled to what they would consider to be fair. And they cannot they cannot leave from that particular area and go to another area and expect that same level of payment.
Well, okay, I'm being told. time's on. Let me just finish this. But why can't they leave? You know, I come from a country that is a country of immigrants, okay? That is the United States. People left Europe, they left other parts of the world now, more recently from Africa, Asia. If he starts seeing, to use the language of the economist, at the margin, little increments of people leaving, and these are the most skilled and qualified people that really are, you know, can find a better paying job, he's not going to have to make a decision. Can I afford, in my competition with the other companies, to lose some of my better workers? Or am I going to have to start offering a higher wage so as not to lose them to my competitors? And that's how the market works. What is fair? Fair is nothing but what the market says. Okay, you know something? What am I worth as a professor? I might think I'm worth $1 million a year. And as I said, my wife would appreciate it if I was worth $1 million a year. But guess what? If I went to the president of Northwood University and said, you know something, I've decided that I'm worth $1 million a year. And, you know, next year's contract, that's what I expect. You know what he's going to do? He's going to show me the door. Because as much as I don't like it, in the university's eyes, and in virtually any other university in the United States or the world, someone like me is not worth $1 million. What am I worth? You know, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, as the phrase goes. What is somebody worth? It's what the other person values their services at. And nothing more and nothing less. It is nothing objective that you can measure. Thank you very much.